The morning Abby Williams and Libby German disappeared, they ate banana pancakes. It was breakfast for them after a sleepover at Libby's house, February 13th, 2017. That was the last day anyone would see these two girls alive. Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 11 o'clock, and now this trial for the suspect, Richard Allen, is underway. He is charged with murder in this case. On day one, the prosecution and the defense laying out their theories of this case, and Abby and Libby's family members taking the witness stand. A lot to unpack on this Friday night. We've got team coverage for you. Karen Campbell is breaking down the legal analysis of these new developments, but we want to begin tonight with our Emily Longnecker, who is inside the courtroom today.
This was the first day the jury heard from witnesses in this case. Most of them were family members of Abby and Libby, who talked about two young girls who loved playing volleyball, loved being in band, who were dear friends that loved each other. Some of the most heart-wrenching testimony came from Libby's grandmother, Becky Patty, who testified she told Libby to take a jacket that day before she went out. And Libby told her, quote, "Grandma, I'll be okay." Patty recalled trying to get in touch with Libby after the girls didn't show up at the spot where Libby's dad went to pick them up. Patty said, quote, "We called. We kept calling and kept calling." Patty also recalled the moment the next day when investigators called to say they had found the girls. Patty testified she thought that meant they were okay, saying, quote, "I couldn't understand why they weren't taking me to her. And then I saw the coroner's van drive by, and that's when I realized they weren't alive." Kelsey Siebert, Libby's older sister, also testified about how close they were, saying, quote, "She was more like my best friend than a sister." Siebert described dropping the girls off at the bridge that day for a hike. After 4, she said her grandmother called to say Abby and Libby were missing, so she met family at the bridge to search for them. Abby's mother, Anna Williams, teared up and paused when she was asked to describe her only child. She called Abby shy and very kind, saying she loved to read. Williams said she didn't know Abby was going to the bridge that Monday after letting her sleep over at Libby's the night before. Williams said she was at work at a local bar when she missed back-to-back calls from Becky Patty. When Williams answered, she said she learned her daughter and Libby were missing. Williams testified she told her boss she'd probably be back, saying, quote, "I don't know what these girls are up to, but it's probably not that big of a deal." This trial is scheduled until mid-November. Friday, both sides laid out a roadmap of the arguments they'll present to the jury. In opening statements, the prosecution said the jury will see gruesome crime scene photos of the girls after they were murdered and hear testimony from witnesses who place Allen at the crime scene. The prosecution also plans to let the jury hear confessions from Richard Allen during his time in custody. The defense told the jury the state's investigation was messed up from the beginning and that Richard Allen is truly innocent. They said there's reasonable doubt and that the prosecution's case is going to fall apart before your very eyes. And the day ended with Judge Gall telling the jury to have a peaceful and safe evening, reminding them that when they are out of court, they are not to talk about this case with each other. Tomorrow marks day 2 of testimony here in Carroll County. Our senior investigative reporter, Bob Siegel, will be inside the courtroom and bring you a full report at 6. In Delphi, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And another big development in court. Composite sketches of a supposed suspect will not be allowed in this trial, so that means jurors won't see or hear about them. Police released those composite sketches back in 2017 and 2019. These images were widely circulated, but the prosecutor says they were not used to identify Richard Allen. So let's bring in our Karen Campbell tonight, who continues our team coverage. She talked with our legal analyst, Katie Jackson-Lindsay. And Karen, Katie said there were actually some surprising moments in the courtroom, right?
Yeah. Right. So there were two things that she was surprised about. One was the actual opening statements from the defense and the state, and two, new cell phone evidence that will now be admitted in court. It was the Carroll County prosecutor's 15-minute opening statement that stood out to legal analyst Katie Jackson-Lindsay. Prosecutor Nick McClelland said the case is about 3 things: the bridge guy, the unspent bullet found at the scene, and the brutal murders of Libby and Abby.
The state's opening statement was brief, it was broad, it didn't give us a whole lot of new information outside of what we've already gleaned from the pretrial proceedings.
Then came the defense. Attorney Andrew Baldwin spent an hour giving the opening statement, focusing on reasonable doubt. Baldwin told jurors a hair found in Abby's hand had a root with DNA that was never tested. Baldwin also told the jury none of Allen's DNA was found at the scene and no other forensic evidence placed him there.
The defense really leaned into the issues that the state is going to have with their evidence. And I think that's telling. And I think it shows us that there's really going to be an uphill battle for the state.
Jackson Lindsay was surprised to learn additional cell phone evidence will be admitted in court. Ping data that can reveal the location of a phone at specific times, showing whether it moved from one place to another.
And that could be even more impactful than the audio that we've been hearing for many years, because it may suggest that the bodies were actually moved, which could play into whether or not Richard Allen had the ability and opportunity to commit this crime.
A crime that has shaken not only the Delphi community, but the families of Libby German and Abby Williams. Yeah, because again, we have been covering this case for nearly 8 years, and we've seen and felt the impacts it's had on the Delphi community and, of course, on Libby and Abby's families. Scott.
All right, Karen, thanks. And as Karen mentioned, this case and this trial have had this immeasurable effect on Delphi. This is a city of about 2,300 people, and now the renewed avalanche of attention on this small Indiana community has left many residents there really frustrated. We saw not welcome signs on most of the businesses around the town square today. Seats inside the courtroom, they're limited, but there were lines that started forming last night of people wanting a spot inside.
And I've been in Indiana since this happened. You know, I lived one county over, and the fact that they had so many people that came in from, you know, YouTube to get in, and some of them were from media that also got in that, you know, weren't getting in on their credential passes and stuff, that the limited amount of seats for the residents was so limited. I couldn't even get in. There was only 2 people from the county of Carroll that got in, and it's just really sad and disappointing.
Because of the added traffic in Delphi, there is added security, fencing, barriers, and cameras around the courthouse. But it's not just the added security popping up around Delphi, it's the memorials to these 2 girls who should now be young women. There are purple and teal ribbons tied up around lampposts in Delphi for Abby and Libby, because those 2 girls, that's what this is all about, finding justice for them and bringing healing to their families and their hometown. Be sure to watch our Delphi Debrief Show on WTHR+. This is an in-depth look at this big trial. Bob Siegel, Emily Longnecker, and our legal expert will break down the major developments from the courtroom weeknights at 10 p.m. In fact, you can stream this show on demand on WTHR+ right now. That's our free streaming app. You can get it on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku. Angela?
Scott, a clear Friday night. For most of us, temperatures have dropped into the 40s. We have 46 in Muncie and Richmond, 47 in Lafayette and Kokomo, 46 degrees in Columbus and Terre Haute, and currently 40 in Bloomington. It is going to be another cool start tomorrow morning. Most of us will be in the low 40s. We'll climb from there. Sunshine, 60 degrees at noon on Saturday, and even warmer than today, expecting a high of 70 degrees. Colts forecast, they're back home at Lucas Oil Stadium. Sunshine and 65 to 70 for that 1 o'clock kickoff.
Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. Tonight, 2 teens are under arrest facing preliminary murder charges. The 14-year-old and 16-year-old boys are tonight accused in the death of 38-year-old Jerry Thompson Jr. Someone shot and killed him last month at an apartment complex on the northwest side of Indy. Police tell us they identified the teens as people of interest after the shooting. They were just arrested yesterday. Right now, IU police are investigating a reported sexual assault at a fraternity house in Bloomington. Tonight, investigators tell us that a security guard contracted to work for the fraternity is now accused of fondling 3 women and further assaulting one of them. It's said to have happened last night during an event hosted at the house. Right now, police don't know the suspect's name, but if you have any information, please reach out to IUPD. Tonight, 7 people are displaced after a fire on the east side of Indianapolis. This happened early this morning near Washington Street and State Avenue. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but the fire did force 5 adults and 2 kids out of the duplex. Indigo's Purple Line has now been open 1 week, and to celebrate, Indigo had a ribbon cutting and parade marking the route's early success. City and community leaders tell us it improved safety and quality of life for Hoosiers living along the route.
This opens up a whole new world for them to be able to get employment, to be able to get resources.
The Purple Line links Lawrence to downtown Indianapolis. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app.